What is up, DCS crew? It's Carlos back at it here today, and I have a first for the channel. I was given the opportunity to go ahead and check out a prototype from Damned Designs. Now, before I kind of get into this interview on the prototype here, which is called the Oni, I want to give a shout out to the Apex Passaround group for assisting me with, this knife, as well as Adrian from Damned Designs. So thank you so much for providing the Oni for the channel to go ahead and check out. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of the things that the prototype is really excelling at, what I think that they could improve on, and my final thoughts. So yeah, let's check out this little demon and save the rest for after the intro. So again, I would just like to say thank you so much to Adrian at Damned Designs, as well as the Apex Passaround group, for providing today's knife for review, which is a prototype from Damned Designs named the Oni. That's O-N-I, Oni, okay? And now and I just need to state this one last time. The Oni is in its final prototype stages, so I'm pretty psyched to be a part of the final feedback that could lead to some small changes prior to mass production. And what better than to share it with you guys, right? Okay, so as you can see, the Oni from Damned Designs is a small folding knife with big knife ergos, okay? And in that regard, it kind of reminds me a lot of the Spyderco Dragonfly. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring my Dragonfly out in a little bit to kind of compare it, because it is very similar in size. This is a big little small knife, if you will, okay? Yeah, it was designed by Adrian D'Souza, who originally started Damned Designs as an EDC gear company offering items like, fidget spinners, knucks, lanyard beads, and so on. And, he's jumped right into the folding knife market, though, and has 5 designs either already released or slated to be released by the end of 2019. So a little bit about this knife before I go into the specs and how I feel about it. It's going to be crowdfunded by Indiegogo. That goes live on November 1st, which by happenstance happens to be the first day of Blade Show West. Speaking of Blade Show West, the event's going to be held from November 1st to 3rd at the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. Okay. And if you would like to check out a little bit of the coverage there, be sure to go ahead and see Blade Benter's YouTube page. I know that he will definitely be there. He is going to be providing a little bit of coverage on behalf of, I guess, the Apex Passaround group, as well as a few other members. But I do know that he is going to be over there. So check that out when you have a moment. Okay, so yeah, Damned Designs is going to be available at table J11 over at Blade Show West, so you can see this in person, as well as a few of his other newer designs that are slated for release. If I'm not mistaken, he's going to have the Wraith, he's going to have the Yokai, and the Basilisk. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. And if you aren't attending, you can find out more about Damned Designs, the Oni, and some of their other EDC gear at damneddesigns.com. So on to the specs for this prototype, okay? We're looking at a blade length of just under 2 inches. I think it was clocked in at 1.92, whereas the actual cutting edge is 1 3/4 inches, so 1.75. The handle length is just over 3 inches. I want to say just under 3 1/4, so 3.2, and the total length is 5 1/8 inches. So he's a stubby little guy, if you will, and he weighs in at 2.4 ounces. Okay. Now the handles are something that I wanted to go ahead and touch up on. As you can see, it's carbon fiber, and then with a little bit of color that is inside the scales, as you can see here, and that's layered G10. That's red G10 with carbon fiber. Okay. Now, as for the locking mechanism on the Oni, as you can see here, and let me see if I can get this into the light a little bit better. Let me go ahead and see that. Okay, that is, oh, that's not helping. Okay, try this here. It is a liner lock. Okay, now there are going to be 3 versions that have the liner lock, and they will be in yellow, blue, and red carbon fiber and layered G10. The other 3 are going to be frame lock, and they are titanium scales. So it's going to be a frame lock in 3 colors in titanium, and then a liner lock in 3 colors with the carbon fiber and laminate G10. Okay. I actually like the carbon fiber and the laminate G10. I'll get into that in a little bit, just as an FYI. So the blade itself is flat ground, and it is a nice satin finish with S35vn Steel. So you can see the blade itself is unmarked, presumably because of the fact that it is a prototype. This is actually designed by QSP Knives, and that is significant in the sense that previously Dam Designs was looking to TUI a knife for the OEM and production work on their knives, and they chose to deal with QSP this time. In all honesty, my experience is limited with QSP, but I know that there are other people who speak very highly of them. And judging by the way this piece has been, constructed, and the way the steel looks, and the way that I've used it, it actually works really well. So I have no reason to doubt that this is going to be a really good design based on what I have found in my preliminary research on this. So there is that. Okay. So it is made for Dan Designs by QSP Knives. This is made in China. All right. Now the clip itself is right here, and it is designed specifically for right hand tip up carry only. Sorry, tip down and lefties, you are in the dark for now for this particular setup, unless they come out with a I guess the full production version is ambidextrous. So that is something that they may consider. We will bring that up to the company when this review is over. Okay. And deployment, now that I did that, there are actually 3 methods to deploy it. So you can use the front flipper, which actually looks like a little bit like a mohawk right here. Okay. And then just roll your thumb over it and it comes out. The detent works extremely well. Okay. You have the Spidey flick method, kind of like a finger flicking. And if you're not, if your hands are a little stubby, if you don't have, small hands, it may not be the easiest thing to do. So as you can see, there we go. Okay, what was that? Try number 11? Jeez, I got it. But I did get it. Okay, so there's that one. And then there's the deploy and roll out using the thumb hole, which is this little area, this little slot that's here. So you just deploy it, and then you just roll it out until it locks and it is ready to be used. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go into some size comparisons really quick so you can see the differences between it and some existing knives that are in the market. Let me go ahead and just line it up right here, make sure. There we go. Okay, so we will start first with the Spyderco Dragonfly, a great little EDC, probably one of the best small EDC knives that I have. And let me see if I can get it to be, there we go. Okay, and as you can see, it's actually a little bit smaller in blade length and slightly smaller in handles than even the Dragonfly, which is a pretty small knife. Okay, so we have, let's see here, this is another small knife from Kershaw. This is the Kershaw Shuffle right here. And this is more on the budget end. This is HCR13 MOV steel, also made from China, liner lock, FRN scales, deep carry clip, yada yada. And so yeah, that is the Kershaw Shuffle. We have the Kershaw Shuffle 2, and if you want, what I'll do, I'll actually do this here, so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, there we go. All right, so you have those three. You have the Kershaw Shuffle 2. Very similar in blade styles. You can see they both have Tanto blades. This one is a little bit longer in the handle and a little bit larger of a blade. Okay. And you have the Kershaw Dividend 420 high carbon steel. This is USA made and quite a bit bigger. This is a 3-inch blade, 4-inch handle. Okay. You have the Tangram Knives Amarillo. Okay, nice little flipper, budget flipper, pretty small, but still a little bit bigger than the other two here. Brown G10 scales and a deep carry flip. And then for size comparison, an Ontario Rat number 1. As you can see, it towers over the Oni. All right, guys, so there you go as far as size comparison between different knives. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and start with some pros on this particular knife. A couple of things that I really liked about this prototype is, number one, there is no lettering on the blade at all currently. And that's something that usually has like a billboard by, you know, it's usually used as a billboard by a bunch of different knife companies. You know, they go ahead and they put the maker's mark, or they put the company insignia, or they put the, you know, the type of steel. I actually like the way that this was designed with no lettering on the blade. That's probably going to change at, you know, the time it's going to be produced, you know, because they have to put their logo somewhere so that you know what kind of an awesome blade this is. But, you know, that's besides the point. So aside from that, another pro that I like is that the ergos, they give it a big knife feel in a small package. Okay, so as you can see, I can get 3 fingers on here and the 4th one kind of just angles down, but while that doesn't let me get a full purchase on the knife, you have right up here where it's kind of notched in here and has some jimping tool to be able to go ahead and securely position my thumb for scraping, for cutting, and for precision tasks. I think that that's really cool, and I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize, that just because a knife is small does not mean it's not, it can't be, you know, secure in the hand or easy to handle. I have, I guess, medium-sized hands, medium, borderline, going into large. And yeah, no, while it didn't fit my entire hand, like you could see, there's the 3 here. Right here, this actually feels extremely secure in my hand to be able to go ahead and use for tasks. And I didn't have any issues when I used it to be able to, you know, cut things open and you know, work on boxes, that sort of thing. So something to consider. Now, as for the blade shape, and this is something that I wanted to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about. Okay, for having a Tanto, I understand that not everybody is keen on having Tanto blades. I mean, you know, I know that the spear point, the drop point blade, you know, the Wharncliffe, the sheep's foot, you know, those are all really good EDC knives. But I gotta be honest, this blade shape really does make for a great utility knife, and the fact that it is high quality steel, being S35vn, it does ensure that it's gonna be a long lasting edge. Okay, so that's something to consider, and you need to rest easy knowing that they do source it from quality sources, from a quality company. Okay, so aside from that, another pro is that it fits extremely well due to its size in you know, the 3rd pocket inside of your shorts or your jeans or wherever it would be. It actually you know, either clips in really well, or you can just go ahead and take off the clip and slip it right in, which brings me to my my next pro about it. This thing is made for a lanyard. I think that it's great that it has a lanyard hole that has been kind of grooved into the G10 here, and obviously the steel, and it allows you to be able to go ahead and put a lanyard hole and a bead. I think that would be really great. I know Dan Designs does sell beads on their site, so I think it would be really cool to go ahead and have like a package to where it's sent out with a lanyard hole and a bead. I know not everybody is into that, but I think that that's something that would really be a big benefit to this knife, because it allows you to be able to go ahead and get some extra leverage on the knife, especially in the back when you're going ahead and using it for long periods of time. Okay, so I like the fact that there's more than one deployment method, and I like the fact that the the sharpening choil that's over here is actually usable. You get a lot of companies that do not put sharpening choils on their knives. I don't understand it. They just think that their knives are going to be sharp forever, and that, you know, if people are gonna, you know, sharpen it, the most they're probably going to do is just drop it. I like to sharpen my knives, and I used stuff like I don't know, the Spyderco Sharp Maker or the KME. And especially with the KME, you want to be able to have at least some space between where the usable portion of the blade is and the standard steel, and even the material for the handle, so that when you're sharpening, it doesn't actually, you know, contact any of that. So that's something to consider. I do like that they've already got that here on this prototype. Let me see here, what else? The all black hardware. I think that it's really cool because it gives it that dark, kind of mystifying Oni personality, you know, being that the pivot, you know, the pivot screw, all of the screws and hardware, even the liners inside are black. Everything except for the blade itself, which is nice and satin, and it makes it pop that much more. Okay. And speaking of which, the design aesthetics make the front flipper look kind of like a mohawk on the knife, and I think that that's pretty freaking awesome. And with all that considered, one huge plus and a pro for this guy is the fact that from what I have discussed, not only with Dan Designs, but with I guess the people from QSP, is that for right now they are estimating, okay, this to be approximately $80 for the carbon fiber and G10 with the S35vn steel, and approximately $100 for the titanium version. So that's pretty aggressive pricing, you know, for the market, considering the kind of quality that you are getting, not only in materials but in steel, and that's something to definitely consider. You couple that with the fact that there are potentially going to be 6 versions. There's going to be 3 with the carbon fiber, you know, the blue, the yellow, and the red G10, and the different versions of the titanium, assuming that they're going to be anodized. You have 6 options to choose from. The most you're probably going to be paying for is about $100. I would say that this is a pretty aggressive pricing, and this is a really good step for Dan Designs to get a small compact knife onto the market. So that all being said, I'm going to move into a couple of things that I thought, you know, the prototype would work on, and things that I would consider if you had to call it cons. Yeah, I would call it cons. Okay, so now first and foremost, like you saw when I was trying to Spidey flick it, it's kind of difficult to operate any other way than just, you know, the front flip. If you have larger hands. And I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's at least giving you one way to definitely deploy it, but that's something to consider if you do have larger hands. And I am not a big fan of the clip, but it does happen to work with smooth carbon fiber scales. If it were something that a little bit more coarse, like a little bit more coarse G10, like something you would find on, say, the Kaiser Gemini or the Spyderco Para 2, I don't think that this clip would work very well, you know. And I'm just, you know, and again, it's just me, it's just hypothesis, because they don't have a G10 version, they just have a full G10. They have the carbon fiber G10 laminate, which is this one, and the titanium, so that is something to consider. And I did find that it was a really good light use, but it's a bit chunky of a folder, okay? And just to kind of give you what the impression is between a couple, let me go ahead and show this one. This is the difference between it and the Shuffle 2. This is the difference between it and the Tangram Amarillo. Okay. And let me see here, where else? Let's see. This is the Spyderco Dragonfly, another small guy, very thin compared to him. Now let's take something a little bit bigger and see if we can find something that is chunkier than this guy. Let's try the Ontario Rat number 1. This might be, yeah, it's pretty close. All I'm saying is, yeah, this is a stubby, chunky little guy, okay? This is the equivalent of the C-section of little chunky baby knives. So just an FYI. So yeah, it is small, but it's very chunky in the hand. It's good for ergos, but it will be felt in the pocket. So that is something to consider. Not weight-wise, but actually mass-wise, because once this is folded and ready to go, like as you can see, it's a relatively small package and it fits well in the pocket, but you will know that it's there. So something to consider. Now, on to my final thoughts. So in the end, this little knife has a lot of promise, and while it's still in the prototype stages, there is a lot of good work here for somebody who wants high quality knife, okay? But they want to have something that fits a certain niche and that they want to put it to work. This is a great little knife for that. I mean, it's got enough blade to get the job done, and I mean, it's just a great model to be able, like I said before, to put a good lanyard and a lanyard bead on for that extra, you know, handle length. You put that combo together, and that's going to be, this is going to be a really cool EDC, and I think that it would be awesome if maybe they offer that option when you purchased it on the Dan Designs website for maybe a little bit more money, and have something, you know, kind of cross-selling, and you know, being able to offer something exclusive, you know, different color beads and different color lanyards and stuff like that for this particular knife. So that would be awesome. Now, I think that a mini Warncliffe design on this guy, or even the blade that you would see on the ProTech Calmigo. I don't know if you know about that knife. I'll see if maybe I can go ahead and put a picture of that right here. I think that the ProTech Calmigo's blade would work extremely well on this model. Okay, so other than that, again, I think it's a design with potential, and I look forward to seeing it funded on Indiegogo. Okay, now bear in mind that does begin on November 1st. Okay, and be sure to go ahead and check out the Dan Designs website for more information on that, or feel free to go ahead and see them at Table J11 at Blade Show West, being held from November 1st through 3rd in Portland, Oregon. Okay, so thanks again to Adrian at Dan Designs, as well as the Apex Passaround, for providing this model for review. And remember, guys, if you EDC, think DCS. Thank you so much for passing by, and I will see you again next time.